Hello, Forge fans. It is the final match day preview of the season because it's the match day preview before the final, the CPL final. Forge FC in Ottawa taking on Atletico Ottawa in the final. Forge's fourth consecutive CPL final appearance in as many seasons. I said it was consecutive, so that's a little redundant, but for Ottawa, it's their first. Forge have won 2 titles. Ottawa, of course, looking for their first. I've been saying it all week. If you have missed anything this week, as we get you set for the final, whether it was Focus on Forge, whether it was Behind the Beard, whether it was one of the several player interviews available now from the Forge Audio Network, however, wherever you get your Forge digital content, this is the ideal matchup. I mean, it's a win from so many different directions. It's a win for the league. You have the benchmark squad, the evil empire in a way. You know, Forge fans, I don't know if you realize you are a fan of the most hated team in the CPL because the club with the most success is typically the most hated team. And for Forge, I mean, it's been only Forge in every single final to this point. And I'm a wrestling guy, and every great wrestling storyline needs a baby face, the good guy, and a heel, the bad guy. From a neutral perspective, Ottawa's the baby face, right? Ottawa's Hulk Hogan, and Forge is Andre the Giant. And by the way, fitting, because the famous line from Gorilla Monsoon back when Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant wrestled at WrestleMania was the irresistible force meeting an immovable object. Something has to give. And that's how this matchup is playing out. Forge is that irresistible force, right? They're the club that likes to play on the attack. They're tempo, ball possession. They want to control. They want to dictate. Ottawa, the immovable object. They're playing defense. They do it better than anybody. And not only that, their structure, it's very cerebral, methodical, and I mean that represents Ottawa. This is the greatest wrestling storyline you could think up, and it's going to happen in real time on Sunday in Ottawa, and the result won't be scripted. So that, by the way, did you know wrestling was fake? I just learned that this morning, and then I cried for a bit, and then I recovered, and here I am. So we are going to be joined very shortly by Gordon Smith, the color commentator for Atletico Ottawa on TSN 1200, and we will get a feel for the atmosphere, for what we are about to step into, either whether maybe you're going to Ottawa for the match like I am, maybe you're just going to watch at home. Either way, we'll help you get ready. We'll paint a picture for you because the crowd's going to be hot in Ottawa this weekend. There's also going to be a lot of orange. There's going to be a full supporter section for Forge FC at TD Place Stadium. And yeah, like I said, this is the ideal matchup from so many different angles. If you're an Atletico Ottawa supporter, this is an ideal matchup. If you're going to play in your first ever final in your second ever season, and you're trying to kind of build a brand here, I mean, Forge is the club you want coming into your stadium. I mean, it's in terms of just, I mean, the cachet, the marquee name. It's like not beating the evil empire, right? Every good guy needs a bad guy and vice versa. And while Forge fans, well, of course, Forge are the good guys. I think from the outside looking in, I mean, Forge, we're the heels, and that's okay. It's fun being a heel. There have been some great heels throughout. I mean, Ric Flair, Triple H, so many different examples of great heels, and Forge is one of them. And my favorite Ric Flair line of all time: to be the man, you have to beat the man. And if you're Ottawa, I mean, how sweet would it be to win a title against the club that has pretty much run roughshod over the CPL over the last 3 seasons? I don't know if you can tell. I'm excited. Of course, we're looking for a Forge victory, but I'm excited for all of it. I'm excited for the environment, the atmosphere, how important this match is for both clubs, but also the league that is still trying to cement itself not just in their local markets, but throughout the country and internationally, right? Go on any Forge FC social media page, look at the likes, the comments, click on those profiles. I do this a lot because I'm kind of curious. Where are these observers coming from? And they're coming from all over the world. I mean, I get DMs all the time from soccer fans in different countries, from Costa Rica, from Mexico, from Spain, asking questions about the club, saying, hey, a lot of soccer fans like having a favorite team in each region. And a lot of people saying, hey, Forge is my team because I like the way they play, because they remind me of Barcelona and Guardiola and that total football type approach. So, yeah, it's exciting. I mean, I can't wait for Sunday. And with that, let's take you to Ottawa. Gordon Smith joins us now from TSN 1200. He's the color commentator for Atletico Ottawa. And, I mean, this is it. It's our last game of the season. It's a CPL final, and it's in Ottawa. I mean, did you think? I know Ottawa had a pretty good season, but there was always that touch and go type. Are they for real? Are they not? At what point did you really start to believe that this club could not only make it to a final, but host one?
I think as soon as they made the playoffs, and then there was always a chance, Anthony, they would finish number one seed overall. I mean, the two legs over Pacific out there, a huge 2-0 win. I mean, I don't think in anybody's wildest dreams we thought we would have gone out there and came back with a 2-0 lead. And obviously away goals didn't count, and it was going to be total goals. We were all kind of expecting a tense affair back here at TD Place on Sunday, but the way it played out, where after half an hour it's 1-0 Pacific, and you're under long stretches of pressure from Pacific. Getting that goal in the early 83rd minute or something by Malcolm Shaw, that really sort of calmed the nerves, and there was a huge sort of sigh of relief around the stadium, because up to that point Pacific looked like going up 2-0 before Ottawa was going to make it 1-1. So once it went to 1-1, it was, they're not scoring two more goals in the last 7 minutes, plus what ended up being about another 5 or 6 minutes added on for some injuries. Drew Becky went down with an awful head knock with his teammate Miguel Acosta, and he had to leave the field of play, and it was a sort of band-aid back line that finished the final minutes for Ottawa. But they hung on, and they move on to this, big game against, the seasoned veterans of CPL finals, so to speak, in Forge.
I liken, I'm a wrestling guy, so I always liken it to the greatest storylines. They always have the classic good guy, the classic bad guy, the face and the heel, and this reminds me of that, because Ottawa is kind of that. They're hard not to like, or at least respect in some way. They haven't built up any heated rivalries, really, especially not with Forge at this point. So I think if you're a neutral supporter, that's kind of how you're looking at this game. Now in Ottawa, is Forge perceived as kind of the bad guy just because, they've been there 3 times and, you want to give someone else a try, so to speak?
Yeah, I think all across the country, Forge is looked upon as the bad guy, Anthony. I don't think I'm giving away any trade secrets there. And it's not necessarily because of the way they play. It's not necessarily because of things that's happened. It's just, they've been in all finals so far and won twice. And, a lot of teams and a lot of fans aspire to be at that same level that Forge has shown over the last 3 years, as well as CONCACAF and things along those lines. So, if you're looking at them as a bad guy, I'd say no. Looking at them as a pantomime villain, I'd definitely say yes. That's where we're at here heading into Sunday's big final.
And what is the feeling in Ottawa? I think the first time we spoke, there was something kind of building. I don't know that it was quite fully there yet, but you could feel something kind of mounting. And now to this point, has the city embraced this soccer club?
They most certainly have. And as you said, that has been building up. Now, you have to remember, we did have a previous sort of version of professional football here when we had the Fury. And the Fury did extremely well, harkening back to 2015, getting all the way to the Soccer Bowl, unfortunate to lose out against the New York Cosmos. So it's the same sort of feeling right now, but I think it's getting bigger. I mean, I was listening to the radio there just before we came on. Maxime Tissot, a player obviously you guys are quite familiar with down in Hamilton, was doing an interview with my play-by-play partner AJ Jakubek, and AJ had said that there's over 10,000 tickets now apparently have been sold for Sunday, and the expectation is that that could rise up to 11 or 12,000 by Sunday. It's supposed to be. I did see. I think Fernando Lopez had posted something on Twitter that it's supposed to be a high of 16 on Sunday. Now that's
Beautiful.
probably going to be around 1 o'clock. By 6 o'clock kickoff, it could be down. I would say around 9 or 10. Still nice football weather, and if the fans are making as much noise and energy and passion as they will bring to the stands, then it's going to be quite warm at TD Place. So I don't think there's going to be any issue with regards to the sort of culture that's grown over the last little while for Atletico. But roll on Sunday. I think it's going to be a fantastic game. I certainly hope it's a fantastic game. You want as good an advert for football in Canada as you can. We all know what's coming up at the end of November. Let's see if we can put a little bit of magic into the end of October as well.
Yeah, I sat as a fan in the last year's final in mid-December in Hamilton. So I think as long as it's not snowing and raining simultaneously, I think we're good this year. But this really is, you look at it from all angles. This really does seem like an ideal matchup, from a league standpoint, even for Ottawa. I mean, what better way to win your first title than to be able to beat a team like Forge? And it works in so many different ways. And also the venue. I mean, it's a beautiful stadium, great sight lines, which in this league you don't always get in some of those TV broadcasts, which is very frustrating.
True. Yes.
It just, all around, it's exciting. And it's also, again, two teams that don't really have a rivalry, so to speak, but this is this could be the making of something bigger.
Well, I think when you look at, the two teams, obviously the standings that we finished off the regular season with, they were the top two teams. I mean, goal difference may have decided second, it doesn't matter. You look at the 8 teams in the standings, and it was Ottawa 1, Hamilton/Forge 2. So I think you've got a really nice blend. And when you're talking about the stadium, the one thing we see an awful lot with TD Place is that most of the stand on the side of where the camera angle is tends to be full. I mean, that's where 4,000 or 5,000. The last game there was 8,400. That's where they're located. But when you start getting up to 8,000, 10,000, possibly 12. The other side of the field is going to be not full, obviously. The north stand will not be full by any stretch of the imagination, but there will be, upwards of 3,000, 4,000, possibly 5,000 people in that stand. So it's going to be optically, from a CPL standpoint, from a league standpoint, a fantastic sell. And I think that's one positive. Having it in a place like an Ottawa or Tim Hortons Field will be along the same boat where you're able to get upwards of 10, 12, 13,000, and it is going to look fantastic on television. So as far as that goes, I think we're in for a real spectacle, but let's just hope that the performance on the field by both teams is just as enjoying.
I mean, how can you even really overstate, I guess, what Ottawa was able to do in the offseason to be able to build this club? I mean, the work that went into it. And not only that, it's one thing to get players, but it was almost just all the pieces seemed perfect. You have the right coach, you have the right players to buy into a perfect system. It just really seemed to align for Ottawa.
Yeah, for the first couple of years, it just seemed to be a disjoint between sort of, and fair enough, Mister was a good coach, great player, as we all know, with his career around the world. But there just seemed to be a disjoint somewhere. I don't know if it was a language issue. I don't know if it was just a coaching philosophy. But Carlos Gonzalez has come in this year, and from day one has been a breath of fresh air. He's been absolutely fantastic with the media. You can tell he's been fantastic with the players, Anthony, because they've all bought into what he's selling. And that's crucial for a coach at a professional level. You have to have the backing of your players. You can't have clicks all over saying, well, your subs are not happy, they're not on the field, and your staff are thinking that, big shots because they're getting to play all the time. Everybody has to buy in together, from squad number 1 right through to squad number 22 or 23. And that's what's happened this season. And it's been terrific to watch this team grow. And I remember the first they have 3 games at the start of the season. They won their first 2 games, and then they went into the third game against Valor, looking to make it 3 out of 3 on the homestand, and they got absolutely hammered by Valor 6-1 that afternoon.
Mm.
And everybody thought, okay, there's the crashing back to earth. But you know what? This team only lost 5 games the entire season. They went something like nine games at the end of the 28, undefeated, and they've now gone 2 games in the playoffs undefeated as well, Anthony. So they're on a terrific run right now. Can it continue into Sunday? I think a lot of it will come down to how Bobby sets his team up and how Carlos sets his team up. Bobby had great success in a game earlier in the season when they came to TD Place and won 4-0. And the way they set up with the players running in behind them down the channels gave Ottawa all sorts of problems. Ottawa adjusted. We've had a win each, 1-0 down in Hamilton for Ottawa, 4-0 up here, and then 1-1 and 0-0. So both teams certainly know how to win against each other. They know how to play each other tough. I think it's just going to be which superstar performs better on the day, who is going to win the match for either team. And when you look at the lineups, through both lineups, there are potential match winners throughout both squads. And a big loss, let's be honest, it's not something that nobody, I'm sure, is going to sugarcoat, is the loss of Kyle Becker. I mean, with the red card that being upheld, I believe, today, I'm not sure if it got reduced, but either way, he's missing the final from what I understand.
Yeah.
And that is going to be a big loss for Forge. But, Jabrapour is a player that can come in and possibly take his spot right away, not worry about whether he was going to start alongside them. Just replace what Kyle Becker's doing. You're not going to replace the experience, the leadership, and that sort of veteran presence that someone like Kyle Becker can bring. But, as we said, I think Forge have got enough match winners, along with Ottawa, that someone out there is going to be a real hero come, well, we hope, 7:45 on Sunday. We hope it doesn't go to extra time and penalty kicks. But either way, you look at right from both goalkeepers all the way through to the front players, quality right throughout. And, I think pretty much the teams are the best defensive records in the league this season. I might be stepping out the boundaries there, but I do think that's the case.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Both these teams have the best defensive records, and certainly Forge have scored more goals with their goal difference being far superior to Ottawa. But you know what? In a one-off game, I think right now, if you're asking me what the difference is, to me it's experience against emotion. I think the experience of Hamilton, Forge, having been in these finals before, been there, done that, got the T-shirt, got the medals, got the trophy in the cabinet. Whereas Ottawa's going to feed off the emotion of possibly 10 to 12,000 people in those stands on Sunday night. And I think that's which team comes out better in that sort of matchup of experience to emotion is going to end up on top.
Do you? How important is it? The way we talk about tactics a lot, especially with these two clubs, because there's two very distinct styles of play. For Ottawa, how important is that first goal? How much does that kind of philosophy depend on them not having to chase the game, so to speak?
It's very important, and obviously in the one-off, Anthony, it's crucial simply because you get a chance to take your breath. Get your sort of system, your tactics, your sort of game plan all back into check. If you go down 1-0 in a one-off, does it matter? You can't hang on for a 1-0 loss. You've got to open up. And I think if Forge get that first goal and Ottawa does have to open up, the spaces start to get created a little bit in that back line. The midfield pushes a little bit further up the park. They're not getting back to help out as much because they're hoping to hit on the counter-attack. But I think you've got enough experience with players like Sissoko and Drew Becky that are going to be able to help no matter when they're on the field and when it happens. But you're exactly right. That first goal will be crucial with regards to how both teams are then able to settle in and play the rest of the match for themselves.
All right. Well, it should be exciting. We hope it is, and we're pretty confident it will be. Gordon Smith, I guess this will be the last time we talk this season. Yeah. But by the time that we talk next time, we'll hopefully have a CPL final we can talk about and reminisce about. Thanks so much for doing this. Enjoy the match.
You're welcome. My pleasure as always, Anthony. All the best to Forge. Not as best as hopefully Ottawa, but enjoy the final, everyone. Are you coming up, Anthony? Just out of curiosity.
I will be there. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, hopefully we get a chance to bump into each other. We're obviously up in the broadcast booth in the South Stand. Stop up and say hi to us anyway.
Yes, hopefully there will be. There's also going to be a Forge supporter section, so the environment should be very interesting.
Yes, that'll be great. And as again, it's always nice when you've got rival fans in the stadium going back and forth with the banter. I know they're probably at both ends of the south stand. I think one's in section W, I believe. Forge are in section L or section K. So
I think it's
it will
K.
be. Yeah, they're at basically both ends of the stadium, keeping them apart, I suppose. But that's going to just bring the noise and the emotion and the colour and everything else that goes into a national final, and we can't ask for anything better. So good luck to everyone on Sunday, and may the best team win.
All right, that was Gordon Smith, color commentator for Atletico Ottawa on TSN 1200, helping us kind of, a little peek into what we can expect on Sunday at TD Place Stadium. What's left? Well, 3 keys to the match is left, so stay tuned for that. But ultimately, it's almost game time here. We're so close to the opening kickoff of the CPL final, a 4th for Forge, looking for their 3rd title. Atletico Ottawa, the newcomers, trying to knock off the evil empire that is Forge FC in front of their home crowd. There's going to be a lot of orange in the stands with the support. There's going to be chanting, dueling chants. It's going to be incredible. I can't wait. This is what this sport is all about, and I can't wait to be immersed in it. So if you are heading down to Ottawa, maybe you're already there, I'll see you there. If not, enjoy the match on One Soccer, Fubo TV. We will talk very soon.
Forge FC is prepared, and now you are informed. This has been Match Day Preview with Anthony Urciuoli on the Forge Audio Network. Subscribe on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.